It's playoff time here on the island of Venice. Josh Grant and John Massoni live atop Powell Davis Stadium as your Indians host the regional quarterfinal game tonight against the Riverdale Raiders. John, great feeling to be here tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's been sort of a 16-year tradition right now that to be in the playoffs for Venice High School, and no year is any less exciting than the other one. It's always good to be in here. It's a good feeling to know that you've accomplished your first goals of the year and see how well you can do for the rest of the season.
And we've got a new home for the playoff broadcast, NFHS Network. You can download it on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, Google Chromecast. You can get it right on your TV. If you go to our Facebook page, you can click the link and subscribe right through there. It's $11.99 for 1 month. So you'll be able to get the next 3 games for just $11.99 here from Powell Davis Stadium. Brought to you, as always, by the best in the business, Vibrant Aspect Media. Last time we were here was last Friday night, regular season finale. Your Indians fell 26-20 against the Clearwater Academy International Knights. The Indians had multiple chances to score, but just couldn't break the plane, including a first and goal at the 4. Let's hear what you and Coach had to say this week on the John Peacock and Massoni podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, Clearwater played a great game. We had opportunities. You know, you always want to have an opportunity at the end of the game. I felt like we put ourselves in position to win the game at the end. Clearwater made a few more plays there at the end than we did. We made a couple mental errors, and they were able to come away with victory. But I was happy with our defense. You know, they made a play, gave us the ball back with an opportunity to score the winning touchdown. We got down to the goal line, first and goal at the 4, and we were unable to convert.
Again, with a loss, there's always opportunity to kind of self-scout, look at some things, get some things done. So not the momentum win you wanted to have going into the playoffs. But I think maybe sometimes with a young team like this, on the offensive line and whatnot, again, some really teachable moments where you can kind of say, hey, look, if you're here, you do this works better, and that kind of thing,
right.
And sort of give, because sometimes, with a younger group of guys, if that's what you want to call these guys, look at them, they might be thinking, well, we're on top of the world, we can do whatever we want, and sometimes there's again, I know you're not a proponent of, there's another thing is a good loss, but I think sometimes there are coachable situations you can get and say, okay, we can improve here.
Yeah, it definitely makes you look a little harder at what you're doing and where you're headed. And I think as a staff, we have done that. And, hopefully, what we've done as far as our regular season is put ourselves in a situation where we're used to competing for 1, we're used to playing good football teams for 2, and 3, hopefully, with this, we'll get a chance at the end of the game one time and we'll win it in the game. We had a chance against Miami Northwestern at the end to win the game, both offensively and defensively. Defense did not get a stop there at the end against Miami Northwestern, and offense had a chance to go down and score, albeit we didn't have much time, but we did have a chance to get down the field and score, and we failed to do that as well. And then Friday night, defense made a play, put us in a great position to win the game, and we fell short. So,
how much do you put into the idea that Clearwater comes down here? It's their last game of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're done now, right? And they've got this sort of bowl game mentality. This is it.
Well, I try to I knew that, and I try to explain that to our kids. Like, listen, they don't get to go to the playoffs. This is their bowl game. This is their final deal. Like, they're going to be so pumped for this game and so pumped to play you guys. And we talked about it in the coaches show. We win that game Friday night. It's just regular business. We won the game. We're supposed to win the game. Kind of deal.
Yeah.
And they win the game, and they're trying to tear down the goalpost. You know what I mean? And same with Miami Northwestern. They get a win, and they're jumping for joy.
Right.
So they got to understand that. It's kind of like it's I don't want to compare us to Alabama, but it's kind of like Alabama. They on Saturday, if they win the game, they win a game.
If they don't, the other team is going crazy.
Yeah, and if the other team wins, they're storming the field.
Right.
So. They got to understand that and know that every team that comes in our stadium or every team that we play or line up against is going to be, we're going to have a target on our back, and it's going to be a notch and something for them,
It's funny you say, because it's being a Gator fan, Steve Spurrier, obviously we say all the time, he goes, man, I like to have a game. I get to tear the goalpost down. I see it a lot, but I don't get to do it myself. because the expectation was you were supposed to win.
Right.
You know, the expectation is that's what's supposed to happen, and then so you don't have those moments where it's like, wow, okay, this is my one-off scenario. I can go ahead and do this kind of thing. So it does become I wouldn't say frustrating, but it's
so you're telling me Spurrier never got to tear the goalpost down?
never.
Yeah. See, that's my point.
Yeah, because you're the guy expected to do it.
Right. You know, we got our program in a situation where, you know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, like the guidance counselor, the math teacher, the cafeteria worker, the grounds crew expect you to win.
Right.
Everyone expects you to win, which is a good thing.
Right. No.
So, and I'm not sure everyone at Clearwater International expected them to win
right
night, and it was a big deal for them.
Right, and I get the phone calls I get after something like that
What happened?
Yeah, what was going wrong? What happened? I'm like, hey, they were a really good team, and you know they're an all-star team. You know, we talked about this also, how they kind of built their program and whatnot through a lot of Canadian players coming down. I think 28 was on the roster. Josh Grant and I counted some guys from Eastern Europe and other places like that, and then so
all over the world,
and so. You know, these guys are coming there, and they're coming in there. You know, think about it, they're probably super athletes, playing a game that's not foreign to them, but maybe a different brand of football, whatever it may be. And you come down here in beautiful Clearwater, Florida, and you're getting an opportunity to do stuff. And then you say, okay, we look at our schedule, and this is the one right here. This is how we're ending it.
Right.
This will be the final exam. Let's see what you pass or fail with this thing. And the final exam is Venice football. You know.
Really just a game of missed opportunities all night.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of red zone offense, which is sort of it's a specialty. It's something you're in a shorter part of the field, more guys in a shorter space. A lot of times in the past it's been where Venice could impose their will. They go with their big packages and just blast the ball in the end zone. And
we'll get a little bit more into the red zone offense. But Alvin Johnson led the way, 113 yards on 33 carries. Had one touchdown and also had a receiving touchdown. I want to take a look at the three top rushers for your Indians. Johnson, obviously, 539 yards rushing on the season, 4 touchdowns. You've got Jamaris Wilder, who didn't even play last week, 90 carries for 502 yards and 7 touchdowns. And Brooks Bentley, your quarterback, 88 carries for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. 14 scores on the ground, all 14 by those three runners.
Yeah, and we talked about it before is that how the but not by design, but just by happenstance, that you have the guys having the same amount of carries in the game.
Right.
I mean, you know, you got Gator Wilder with 21 carries, and you got Alvin with 20, and you got Brooks with 12 or 13. But the two running backs seem to they're running in tandem, and they equally as I said, we talk about their styles are different, but they're equally as effective. So it's a good thing to have two guys that you can kind of take the workload off of one, and of course. They haven't played very many games together due to injury for Gator and some other things that were going on. So, yeah, it's been a really interesting way to see how both of them have contributed. So, if you look at it from this perspective, we had a 1,000-yard rusher if you combine the two of them, and that's a nice thing to have in 8 games.
So, Brooks as a passer last week, 16 of 24 for 190 yards and 1 touchdown. 13 touchdowns to just 1 interception on the season. And Eli Seed, to wrap up last week, Eli Seed is 3rd pick of the year. The team and the 3rd in the last 3 games. The team has 5 total. Eli Seed has 3 from that middle linebacker spot.
You know, looking at the backers, we talked about it a little bit too. How impressed I was that these guys are all brand new. They're all coming in there, and they're replacing guys that were 3-year starters. So there was no way to kind of get into the lineup until now.
Right.
But they're doing a great job. One thing I'm really impressed with, I may not have emphasized it when we had talked about Coach Peacock, but the way they tackle. They're really good tacklers. I mean, Jack Huber is a great tackler. Eli Seed's a great. Carter Dalton does a great job with it. And
Seed leads the team with 88 total.
Yeah, and so I mean, when they get that, like you like to see when people get their hands on somebody, they go to the ground. I think the most impressive guy I've ever saw in all of watching football was Derek Brooks.
Yeah.
Derek Brooks is not a big guy, but when he got his hands on you, you were on the ground. And so I'm seeing a little bit of that as well, that these kids are really good tacklers. And, you know, at that linebacker position, that's the difference between 3 yards and 2 yards of a gain or a 7 or an 8 yard gain with the tackling.
So you briefly talked about the red zone issues. Let's hear what you and Coach had to say on Tuesday night's podcast about the red zone.
Again, a game where maybe some red zone opportunities were squandered. I know you talked about you worked on it in practice this week.
Big time emphasis this week. That's been our biggest emphasis we've had. pretty much on something singular like that all year is our red zone offense.
And it's important. I mean, you think about things that, that you're going to get down there. You're only going to have so many possessions in a game and so many opportunities to be down there. And to come away, I could see one, you say, well, at one time here, there's going to be things that happen.
It's been hurting us every game. All the way from game one, where it was really glaring was Miami Northwestern when we're down inside, the 5-yard line 4 times, come away with nothing.
Right.
So it's been an issue all year. We put an emphasis on it this week, and we're going to continue to work on it, and we're gonna figure out a way to improve that.
So you gotta in the playoffs now. You gotta put these across the end zone.
Yeah, I mean it's imperative. You're not going to get multiple opportunities in a game to get touchdowns or any points for that matter. So you got to capitalize on when you're there. Coach was frustrated with the situation, and we initially after the game last week we talked about it and we talked about it again. So something that they said they worked real hard on, and they're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. Again, these are the kinds of games over the years, win or lose, it was because you were able to score, in crucial situations. And you can look at all the yardage in between. You don't get in the end zone, it's really empty yardage at that point.
So the playoffs obviously start tonight. The road to Fort Lauderdale. State championship game will be played at DRV Pink Stadium. Once again, great place to great place to play a game. Here's what Coach had to say about the Indians starting the playoffs tonight.
We've been through this point systems, how they were doing the stuff.
They almost got it right.
I like it because there have been a lot of good teams over the years, just outside of where they weren't the runner-up, but probably deservedly so should have been in the playoffs based on their schedule and their record and everything else. So I think it lends up to be a more fair process.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're the number 1 seed if they had the old way of calculating it.
No,
I think this is more accurate. And I think it can even get more accurate in the future if they take some of the things out that Max Preps uses. But I think if they kept those things in, that we can get even closer to having the best teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess so. It does lend itself to that, and of course, it does lend itself to the fact that you do want to play a schedule that's challenging,
right.
That gives you opportunities to play teams because the penalty is minimal compared to the other way, which would be going out and playing teams and just getting wins from teams that are of a lesser ability than you may be.
Correct.
And that's why you said that old way of doing it. A lot of teams could be 10-0, and you're like, okay, you're number 1 seed. And
I mean, the old way of doing it,
what do we get from this?
We could be like a number 7 seed, and Palmetto might be out, and a Manatee may be out. Whatever it may be, we would get in because of the winning the district, but there's a chance, like every team below us in our district doesn't make it just because their record, but the record always is an indication of how good of a football team you are. Yeah, so they're not a bad team. They had some good players. They were disciplined. So obviously we talked about in the playoffs. I mean, we're gonna look at our phones on Friday night, and we're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, you see this score?
How did that happen?
How did they lose that?"
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be one of those surprises. We want to come in and play well, use our experiences through the season to our benefit, and handle business Friday night.
I think for sure last year a 1 lost in the first round.
Oh, I'm guaranteed they have.
A one got wiped out in the first round. I remember if it was from maybe down south or whatever, but I know for sure one of them went down right off the bat. So again, all that's possible because again these teams, you never know. I mean, you say a team, they runner up in district, this and that, whatever. You don't know if a quarterback was hurt all year or running back was hurt all year, or who knows what could have been there. Enough, and they get their full complement of guys back, and you're like, wait a second, who's number 3 here? Who's number 7? I didn't see that guy.
A lot of factors that come into play.
Yeah, and again, you get coaches that have experience in this kind of situation. They know how to make it work. I mean, think about your year 1 to your year 16 now.
Right. No kidding. So there's a lot of things that go into it, and I think as well as the players. I think the players. Especially I know our kids are going to approach a playoff game a little different than they approach a regular season football game.
So let's take a look at the Indians' road to the regional final, at least here, taking on Riverdale tonight. The winner of this game will take on Palmetto and Lehigh with their #1 running back in the country, Richard Young, who's committed to Alabama. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Gulf Coast and Riverview and Manatee and Sarasota round out the regional quarterfinals tonight. And as Coach said, started with 32 teams tonight. Very quickly in a couple hours, it'll be 16 teams left in this game.
It's a very fast process, absolutely. And so, and we talked also about the fact that there's always upsets. You got to be really careful because all these teams that they, depending on the district they're coming from, you don't know who they played.
Right.
Even like if you were coming from all over the state right now and saw Venice at 5-3, you're thinking, how they lost 3 games? How good could they possibly be? We're the #1 seed, and so you don't know. Like there's teams that are in the bottom half of the bracket or the lower seeds that they could have been district champs if they lost that one game they shouldn't have lost, and they've beaten other good teams. So it's a good bracket. I mean, it's a lot of familiar names. Really, I mean, locally, to have all of our teams in a district make the playoffs is a pat in the back to everybody around the area. And then Manatee and Palmetto as well gets in there, and they've both deserve it as well. So
Lakewood Ranch, the only Manatee County team who didn't make it, and they were pretty much in the #9 spot.
And listen, the problem is they lost their last game, and that's a tough one to pill to swallow.
Right.
That you were there at an opportunity, and I think the game that they probably felt like they should have won. So that was a tough deal for them. But again, good bracket, and hopefully we can survive it and keep going forward.
That 4-5 matchup, Palmetto and Lehigh, that could be the game of the week. As you look, those two teams were just a mere couple of points away from swapping spots or even moving up in the playoff bracket.
And Josh, I'll tell you the truth, both those schools or both those teams, if you look at them preseason, they've kind of underachieved a little bit.
Right.
I thought you kind of thought that with Lehigh, with the #1 running back in the country, you think that's got to be a huge advantage in going into the most games. But I don't know. If it was just that there were people who were keying on him, or who knows what was going on, but I gotta bet he's putting it all out there right tonight. He's going to give his #1 running back best effort. And Palmetto, tons of athletes, always run around the field. Kind of a slow start to the season, but I think they're sort of getting their mojo back a little bit. So another team to watch out for. Whoever we get next week of those two teams is going to be quite the test.
So I could honestly see, looking at this bracket here, I could see each lower seed team upsetting the higher seed team, as Gulf Coast kind of played a weak schedule. Sarasota played us really well for a little while. Riverview played us really well for a little while, just couldn't put it all together. So it could be an interesting regional semifinal across the board next week.
It's not different than we talked about it, what Coach and I talked about, is that how these lower seeded teams can really, really do a number. Sarasota, Manatee, that Sarasota can beat Manatee, no doubt about it. Riverview, Gulf Coast, coaches, he said that's going to happen. He's convinced of that. And then we got Lehigh and Palmetto, so you get Richard Young goes off for 300 yards, let's say, which he's more than capable of with his talent. And then you're really looking at something where we would be facing that guy and that team. And you got it. We've had a lot of good ones come through here. Watch one this weekend play for University of Washington, Michael Penix Jr. He was here with Tampa Bay Tech, and quite an athlete, quite a player, and he's showing his wares. But I'm sure Richard Young will be the guy showing his wares for very early in his career at Alabama.
So we'll take a quick break with some words from our great sponsors here on VSN. Don't forget, there's a new home for the broadcast tonight. The NFH Network, as hosted by Vibrant Aspect Media and produced by Vibrant Aspect Media. You can go on the website, click the link in the description for the video I post earlier, or you can go right on your smart TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Google Chromecast, Roku TV, and Apple TV. You can purchase it $11.99 for a month subscription, which you'll be able to get at least the next 3 games.
And real quick, Josh, let me let you know, over all the years that I've done this, FHSAA.com, NFHS. You'll be tongue-tied.
Yes, 100%.
For the next 5 weeks, hopefully, you'll be tongue-tied.
So we'll be right back here as we wrap up the pregame show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
What does Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram and Venice High football have in common?
The perfect team and the perfect lineup.
Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram will always go the extra yard so you can score big with the area's best selection and savings. So if you're looking for a championship vehicle lineup
And a dealership that tackles the competition.
visit Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice.
And if you're looking for a championship football lineup, check out the Venice High football team.
Who supports Venice High football?
Douglas does.
At home with Lux Realty.
Introducing Sarasota Memorial Hospital, Venice. Our 65-acre South County campus sets a new standard in quality care. From cancer, cardiac, and critical care to life-saving treatments, and of course, special deliveries. We are here for you with hundreds of caring physicians and scores of specialties. Sarasota Memorial Hospital, Venice. Safe, open, ready.
It's Maverick for our friends at Tommy's Express Car Wash. You won't find a better wash than at Tommy's Express. 3 minutes in and out to save you time. With Venice now open, Tommy's now has 8 convenient locations in the area and many more to come. Join the Tommy Club here and you're a member at them all. Text the word WORKS to 52884 and get a free Works wash. Good luck this season and go Indians!
Fridays. It's almost like whoever named the best day of the week was trying to tell us to celebrate it with fries. Free Fries Friday at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
All right, back here once again to wrap up tonight's pregame show brought to you on youtube.com/Vibrant Aspect Media. We're going to switch over to the NFHS Network broadcast. First time tonight that we've been able to bring it to you through the NFHS, bring the action right into your home. You can download the app on your Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, or check out any smart TV. You should be able to download the app. You can purchase a 1-month subscription for $11.99, or you can look in the link that I provided earlier in the video. You can go right to the NFHS Network Vibrant Aspect Media page on the NFHS Network, purchase the link, and watch it from the comfort of your own home. As we've always been able to bring it to you through Vibrant Aspect Media, but tonight you can literally bring it straight into your living room through that NFHS app.
Yeah, pretty cool thing for us to get started with, and hopefully everybody will appreciate the quality of the broadcast that these guys do as far as all the graphics and whatnot, all the camera shots. So it'd be really neat to see how it's taken by a statewide audience.
Statewide, nationwide. Tell your friends, tell people you don't even like, because this broadcast you won't find much better in high school sports. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Let's go Indians.